What is up? It is DB Studios here. Today is finally the day. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I have had this day circled on my calendar for months now because all summer I have been working on this one video, on this one project that is finally coming to fruition today, and I am very excited to show it to you guys. Let me back up. On May 17th of 2023, I posted my most controversial and polarizing video yet. I delved into the shadow box, and I gave my honest-to-God thoughts on it, and they weren't pretty. And that inspired me to do something. Actually, I should probably clarify, it was the comment section in particular that inspired me to tackle this project. And needless to say, I'm pretty proud of it. That's right. I made my own Batcave. And it's nothing like the shadow box, because come on. I decided I wanted to make a Batcave. But the problem was, what Batcave was I going to make? I was stuck on this idea for a couple of days until I came across this short by Portal Master Studios. Hit him up in the description, by the way, great content creator, who suggested buying multiple of the Robert Pattinson Batcave sets and combining the pieces to make one giant Batcave. And this was a fantastic idea and the one I went through with. Yeah, now I was excited. This was going to be fun. So I pulled up eBay and bought the two cheapest sets I could find, sent them to my home, and started building, and it was smooth sailing from there. Alright, I think I've stalled long enough. And it's done. After 2.5 months, the mock is finally complete, and it's time to show it off. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. Let's go from left to right and start out with the pillars on either side of the base plate. Now this build is full of miscellaneous items everywhere. As you can see here, a couple canisters, a batarang on display, a grappling gun as well, a little nod to the 1966 Batman, and 2 doors, which is accurate to the movie. We've got our custom Batman right there, Alfred with brand new arms, may I add, and the Riddler overseeing the entire thing. Also, if you take off the left staircase, you can see the original Batman suit from the CMF series, as well as a wall of batarangs and a map on the wall. Now that we've taken a look at that secret room, we can go up the stairs to see the Riddler on top of the Batcave, watching over everything, kind of like he does in the movie. Nothing up here, because I'm not a very skilled builder, but if you look beneath the arch, however, you can see the door to access the room, as well as a keypad and a laptop that sits on a little stand. This was modified from the Spider-Man and Ghost Rider vs. Carnage set that came out in 2020, and I think it came out pretty well. It took a little taking apart, readjusting and everything, but I'm really, really happy with how this modified, more accurate to minifig scale Batmobile came out. As you can see, almost everything has been completely revamped on this car to be more accurate to the movie version. And honestly, I didn't want to use the set that came out along with the movie because I just think the car was way too massive. So I found one that fit. It was more minifig scale, and honestly, I think it turned out really well, or about as well as I could have made it. But also, I'm going to praise it because I did put it together. So like I said, while I waited for parts to come in and start finally building the Batmobile, this was the one thing I could actually work on that I had the parts to do so. And it was really the first point at which I thought, maybe this could actually happen. And I am very proud of how this car turned out. Now that we're in the middle of the Batcave, we can finally take a look at this insane desk that I put together. It was probably the second thing I made, but it's really not that impressive, but for some reason, this is just one of my favorite builds of the entire thing. It's got monitors, it's got a keyboard, a little coffee mug and such. It's got a little spinny chair for whoever you want to sit, and it sits on 2 studs, so you can take it off, put it back on, do whatever you want. We are now officially over halfway done with this mock as we move on to the right side here. Unfortunately, this is probably the most boring side, but it needs to be shown. So let's just start out with Gordon up here, checking out a couple of documents. One of which being another Riddler riddle, and another being a reference to one Superman, which probably doesn't exist in this universe, but you know what, we're gonna have some fun. Unfortunately, there's nothing beneath this staircase, as I just didn't put anything under there, and I don't know. It's unfortunately empty. Move on here. We've got a weight set, couple of dumbbells, some boxes, some tools, Selena Kyle and her bike, and one of my favorite builds as well is this weight stand, and I don't know, I just think it's really cool. And now that we have completed going through the mock, it is time to look at the minifigures, those of which are 7, and first up is the Penguin. Now, some of the minifigs that have already existed are just fine, in my opinion, and I don't think many of them actually needed updating. And one of those was the Penguin, who was just kind of here. And I felt like he needed to be included, but I also felt like he was fine as he is. So here's the Penguin. He's a great addition, but not much to say here. Number 2 of 7 is Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. And just like the Penguin, I didn't think much was needed to fix her per se. I think she's fine as she is, and I think it's actually as accurate as it could be to the movie. So I kept her as she is, and I also felt like she absolutely needed to be in this mock, and I'm so glad she is. Number 3 is the Commissioner Gordon. Is very accurate as he is, so I didn't really change anything, just like Catwoman and the Penguin, but he does come with 2 accessories, those of which he also comes with in the set, an iPhone and some handcuffs, and this is just a great figure, and not much was actually needed to be changed. Up next is Edward Nygma, the Riddler, and this is the first figure I actually modified. First of all, you take off that stupid hairpiece that he came with in the first place, and then you give him some cargo shorts, which I think came from an Imperial officer. But I think that just gives an extra touch to this figure, and there's not much you could have done to make this figure any better, except get rid of that stupid hairpiece and fix the legs. But now I think it looks pretty good. Once again, another small change for one of my characters here, and that was adding pinstripe sleeves to Alfred's getup, which I will be the first to admit isn't at all accurate to the movie. In the movies, he's just got plain white arms, and they did him justice in the actual set. But come on, I mean, this just looks so much better, and I just couldn't pass up on the opportunity to at least add my own spin. Now for one of my favorite parts of the set. If you want to know why I didn't go above and beyond on some of the other minifigs, it's because I had to go out and make this Batman perfect. I kept his body, I didn't change the arms, even though you could, but I didn't want to drop more money than I already had, because I went out and bought this custom cowl for $10 on inputbrick.com. Link in the description below if you want to find one for yourself, and I think it looks really, really good. I'm using the Loki head under here as well, and I just think that's the cherry on top. I mean, that and the cape, the new cape, the brand new mold. Unfortunately, I mean, yeah, you're going to have that, but let's just not turn the figure around, and he looks amazing. And I'm so happy I went above and beyond for this figure, even if it did come at the cost of some of the other guys. And last but certainly not least is Bruce Wayne, the Robert Pattinson edition. And this figure isn't perfect. The Bruce Wayne should have makeup around his eyes, and, you know, he should be a lot more brooding. But even though I was going back and forth on whether or not to add this guy into this set, I mean, it's still Bruce Wayne, it's still him from the movie, and I still think he needed a spot in this 7-figure lineup. So yeah, a summer's worth of Lego building is culminated into this one video. And I'll be the first to say this doesn't compare to the Shadow Box whatsoever, or anything Lego would make in general. But with this being my first mock, and setting my sights on something to do, I think it came out really well. With that said, I think this is what the shadow box should have been. Maybe not necessarily on the Pattinson films, but something along the lines of this is what the shadow box should have been. But with that said, I'm very proud of how this turned out. And let me know in the comment section down below what you think of it as well. Is this what LEGO should have done? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video as well, please hit that like button. And if you're really feeling generous, please hit that subscribe button as well. I really do appreciate it. But right now, that's all I've got for you today. I'll see you later.